The hand! The feast!
Greetings, travelers. I'm Gav. Welcome to another Last Epoch build showcase. I want to remind you all that this is not a guide, simply an insight into my choices, how well it did, and how the build functions altogether. As with all of my builds, I hope that you can learn from my failures or take my successes to new heights. Today's build is a special one. It's my second successful homebrew for my favorite class, the Rogue. It's the fastest, tankiest, and most reliable ramping damage over time build that I've been able to slap together yet for Rogue. And it ticks all of my boxes of being weird enough that I haven't seen anyone else playing anything like this. Easily farming at 350 plus corruption with room for further gearing improvements. I give you the Maehlin's Bladedancer. I wanted to make an Ignite Bladedancer build, and this was the most unique and off-meta way that I could find to do that. I also found a cool interaction that made me want to use net in particular for this, and that's due to the 100% bleed chance of Caltrops also applying Ignites, thanks to our Maehlins Hubris gloves. Before we dive right in, if you enjoy silly builds like this or are interested in the lore and secrets of Last Epoch, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, as that's currently the best way to support me on my journey. Alright, let's break this build down while I have some footage of the build playing in the background. My character profile is linked in the description if you'd like to check it out more in depth, or make your own tweaks if interested. I have to say, the clear speed on this build feels spectacular. I really pushed the defenses as far as I could, and the damage still seemed fine, even at 350 plus corruption. The sweet spot right now is probably around 300 corruption for farming for upgrades, but this build could easily push over 500 plus with further min-maxing of the gear. This is just what I was able to throw together after 20 or 30 hours or so on the build. I'm nearing 3k HP, I have over 71% glancing blow chance baseline, and 60% armor, with just shurikens popped. If I were able to get a Throne of Ambition, we'd be pushing the armor even higher. Not to mention the 30% more fire damage that we would be receiving from the idol as well. But after 70 plus Argentus kills between my marksman character and now this one, I concluded that EHG just didn't want me to have the Throne of Ambition this cycle. Further defenses include gaining Dusk Shrouds through our Bladedancer passive, Shroud of Dusk, as we're being hit by enemies. Another method is placing our Smoke Bomb, which quickly generates Dusk Shrouds as well. We only need 6 stacks of Dusk Shrouds in order to cap our glancing blow chance at 100%, which is easily achieved while in combat and taking hits, and nearly impossible not to hit while standing in our Smoke Bomb. This, combined with our Leech and health gained on glancing blow, makes the build sustain while in combat feel great. You still obviously can't stand in big slams, and every death that I had was either due to a massive amount of dots stacked on me that I couldn't cleanse fast enough, or because I stood in something that I definitely shouldn't have been. Capping endurance at 60% through sealed affixes wherever you can get them would really slow down and smooth out the damage that you're taking at those low health thresholds. Due to us stacking HP wherever we can get it on our gear, the node Outlander's Tenacity and the Falconer passive tree really helps in boosting our endurance threshold by just investing in health. All of this would allow for much easier reactions to those high damage spikes. Playstyle wise, we're essentially just throwing as many nets as we can, which is casting our puncture ability for us. Net also drops Caltrops both at our location as well as at the location that a net is triggered. Caltrops absolutely everywhere, and our Caltrops are special. With Maehlin's Hubris equipped, they ignite instead of bleed. We're utilizing the shuriken spam trick that we learned on the Poison Bomber Marksman to regain our mana spent. This is thanks to shurikens costing 0 mana through the minus mana cost affix on rings. You can have this affix on both rings and not need to spam shurikens as much while tossing nets, but my thought was that I could squeeze more damage out of a second ring, and shurikens act as both our armor and mana gain. Combine this with the stamina of the Rover Threshold node and Falconer, and I rarely if ever felt down bad on mana. My rotation is 1 to 2 casts of net, followed by a shuriken's cast, rinse and repeat. We use Smoke Bomb on large rares for Silver Shrouds, Dusk Shrouds, and Crimson Shrouds alike. While standing in Smoke Bomb, we also gain 200% bleed chance for both our shuriken and puncture abilities, which in our case is Ignite chance. Smoke Bomb is absolutely huge. We use it at every big pack, every tanky rare, and on cooldown during boss encounters. Sprint is an obvious choice and just too good if you want to go fast on Rogue. I personally enjoy the iframe that it provides, the cleanse, the movement speed burst, and you don't have to, but I like the shadow that it can spawn as well, because shadows throw nets for us before they disappear, so why not? With Puncture, we have a few options. I used to be a big fan of the Bleeding Fury buff, as its 360% global increased bleed chance, but maintaining it was getting to be a bit much. It falls off relatively quickly if you're not focused on quickly moving from pack to pack, and getting a direct cast of Puncture in. Having to cast it directly was easily the biggest pain, as I'd much rather just be throwing nets. We already apply enough ignites as is with just nets, shurikens, and caltrops. And maintaining shurikens for armor while also being able to benefit from the flip of a coin node in the skill tree due to self-casting has been a noticeable defensive increase for me on all of my rogue builds so far. There are other fun things with nets, such as the fact that they can't be dodged by the enemies. Through leading the hunt and quick throws, your throw speed is increased as you cast net, which helps you ramp further. Netted enemies also deal less physical damage to us through entangled weapons. And best of all, as mentioned before, caltrops everywhere. The only required unique for the build to function would be the Maehlin's Hubris gloves. I managed to drop and slam the hell out of a 3 LP version, which hit pretty well. Fun additional uniques include a 2 to 3 LP Bleeding Heart, ideally for more HP and damage than I managed to get out of mine. The Bleeding Heart really made the leech sustain of damage over time feel solid to me. Unless the amulet's nerfed, I think this will be an auto include for me in all of my future rogue dot builds. Fiery Dragon Shoes, which I managed to slam with T7 movement speed, might be a small contributor to how fast this build feels. Just a bit. But these boots would be awesome even with 0 LP. High base movement speed, a fire trail when crit, high armor, fire pen, fire damage. What's not to love about these boots? I also found it made getting my crit defense taken care of relatively easy. A simple T5 affix on my belt for the reduced bonus damage taken from crits brought me over 100%. The cap for this affix is 100%, meaning that even when we're crit, the crits are reduced by 100% damage. Therefore, crits deal baseline non-crit damage. Also, when we are crit, our boots activate a fire trail which deals damage over time to enemies standing in it and can ignite. The Kelthan Blasting Agent relic was an interesting one. I got a 2 LP and managed to slam it relatively well, so I kept it. It has major benefits such as global fire penetration, massive ignite duration, as well as additional ignite chance for our throwing abilities, which includes shurikens, nets, and caltrops. I used a Rune of Creation on this huge sword that I dropped, which is a pro tip for dual wielders, by the way. If you finish crafting a massive weapon that still has additional forging potential by the end of the craft, and you're dual wielding on that build, slam that puppy with a Rune of Creation and enjoy having 2 massive weapons now. It feels so good. 12% parry chance on top of our already beefy defenses, T7 fire damage because we can't get the LE damage over time affix on swords, bleed chance, and ignite chance since we benefit from both. This weapon had it all, and thankfully I was able to use a Rune of Creation on it. These weapons combined are giving me the 12% parry chance, 400% fire damage, and over 200% chance to ignite. The rest of my gear I attempted to get as much vitality, HP, and hybrid HP that I could, as well as the affix elemental damage over time on any item that you can. If you take a look at the affix, the damage ranges for the LE damage over time are much higher than baseline damage over time, as well as the damage range of the specific magic type that you're using, like fire in our case for ignite. So on any piece of gear that we can get it, we want LE damage over time as an auto-include prefix. On one ring at least, we need a T6 or T7 minus mana cost of throwing skills. This brings our shurikens down to 0 cost, allowing us to benefit from the Sapping Strike's rogue passive, and bringing the mana battery of shurikens online for us. It also benefits our relatively high mana cost net skill. With the slight delay of net triggering, you can always cast shurikens after throwing a net and benefit from the mana gain from Sapping Strikes. Only when we're spamming nets will you ever potentially go I could have pushed it higher if I didn't waste so much time farming for a Throne of Ambition, but the throne was also the largest single-handed upgrade for my build, for both offense and defense, so it would have been huge to get one. I instead opted for idols such as this, more bleed chance per equipped sword so we're double dipping there, and damage as well, with HP idols everywhere else that I can put them. And I think that about covers this one, travelers. Let me know what you think about the build down in the comments. I'm going to let another few minutes of gameplay run to close out the video. Toss it a like if you enjoy these build showcases. Subscribe to my channel if you're interested in more builds like this or the lore of the game. And I don't know about you, but I'm beyond hyped for 1.1. What changes are you most excited about? I'll see you all in my next video. Stay safe, have fun, and do not succumb to the void. Farewell, travelers.